Hello and welcome to my Blu-ray update and DVD and book update actually for October 2018. We're now at November, winter is fully here, it's cold as shit, and the lighting is always going to be abysmal. It's probably going to be like this for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months, I don't know. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just the sun is never going to come out again. So it's always going to be like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it feels like it's like 8, dim, no light whatsoever. And yeah, the things that bug me with the lighting, it is what it is. So first of all, I'm going to show you a couple of books that I picked up in charity shops recently. The first one isn't really movie related, but it kind of is. And it is With Scott to the Pole. It's a huge volume, got it for a couple of quid. It's a fantastic hardback book that covers the expedition of Scott to the, is it the South Pole or the North Pole? I'm actually not entirely sure. I really should know this, but it's been a few years since I saw the film. Was it The Great White Silence? Is that what it's called? Oh, shit, I forgot what it's called. There's The Epic of Everest and I think it's The Great White Silence. But anyway, it's a fantastic film that is based on the video films of Herbert Ponting, and these are the photographs from Herbert Ponting, and it's just some incredible imagery, and this book is so comprehensive. And the reason I got it was not only because I find it interesting, but just because it, in a way, supplements the movie, because it has the photographs of the guy who shot all that stuff. And I could show you some of the really incredible images in this, but it's kind of too hard to fit into the screen. But I just want to show that very briefly. That's something I was really happy to grab. This one is very much a film book, so a bit more in keeping with the theme here, and it is Cinema: The First 100 Years by David Shipman. The image on the front there really grabbed me, and this isn't really an analytical book. It is more just an encyclopedia in a way. It isn't really, but I mean, for example, here you have 1956, some of the movies that came out in 1956, so it kind of goes year by year. I believe it starts in, got a nice, incredible full image there of Clark Gable signed, so you get some really cool archival imagery in this, and just really, and this is what really grabbed me, was the silent stuff. So we got 1894 there. Oh, see this? Look at this amazing picture. Just absolutely gorgeous imagery, as you can see. Now, 1894, and just these full spread images of these old silent films. And it goes up to the 90s, I think. That's where it kind of cuts off. But mainly just the images. I mean, for a few quid, I mean, there's just some incredible stuff here that is great quality as well. I mean, some of it is grainy and stuff, but to get some images from some of the earliest films in existence in this amazing quality, and these massive, like, full page photographs, to me is really awesome. And obviously, again, it goes up to the more modern stuff, but that's still pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but I certainly am more interested in seeing stuff like that from the earlier days of cinema, whereas I'm not particularly excited to see a full photo spread from Top Gun. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool book to grab and add to the film collection. And I have two others as well, which I'll very briefly show you. The first one, Ryan Chataway will probably be very pleased to see me grab. It is the first James Bond novel, Casino Royale, from Ian Fleming. Never read any of the Bond books. Certainly would like to. I'm a big fan of the James Bond series, and they had all of these, like the complete set. I think it says 1 in the spine there, but I just grabbed one because I didn't want to go crazy. Very cheap, obviously, but at the same time, something I would quite like to read at one point. And I'm really getting back into reading at the minute. And then finally, we got this, which is more of an academic thing. It is Teach Yourself Film Studies, which I flicked through. It had some interesting things in there. Probably not something I'm going to be reading all the way through and trying to, like, proper study, but there's a lot of interesting things in there that I was flicking through that I was intrigued by, like film structure, narrative fiction, that kind of thing. I certainly don't consider myself much of a student of filmmaking or anything like that, but or even being a film critic, but certainly I find it interesting to flick through. So at some point I would like to read through this and try and glean some more knowledge. Anyway, onto the actual films. I'm sorry. So not many this time, which is good in a way, but some really good ones, or some ones I'm really happy to have grabbed over the course of the past month. I did get this from a charity shop as well for £1, and that's Spaced, season 1, series 1. And I don't know, this just made me feel really nostalgic. I have the complete series box set, but this is the first DVD of Spaced I owned. I don't think I have it anymore. Just the artwork made me feel nostalgic, and it had the full insert with like the forward from Jessica Stevenson, Edgar Wright, and Simon Pegg. The disc is in very good condition, so yeah, I just grabbed it because it was Spaced, and it is what it is. And also from a charity shop, we'll start with this first Blu-ray for £1. I got Steven Spielberg's Minority Report, which I've never seen. Seems crazy. It came out at a time when I was just starting to go to the cinema myself regularly, so it would have been out. I don't know how I missed it. I love Tom Cruise, love Steven Spielberg, love science fiction. Triple whammy. Why didn't I see it? I really don't know. So, Minority Report. Don't really know anything about it. Not going to look into it. Just a film I want to throw on and check out one day. So, leave your thoughts down below on Minority Report if you like it. And yeah, so Minority Report. Not really anything to say about it. Where shall I go with this to kind of like leave the good stuff till the end? Okay, so this is a new release that I bought, and I wasn't really thinking I would buy this for years. I could honestly, about 4 months ago, asked me about this film. When do I see myself buying it? I don't know, in the 3, 4, 5 years maybe, when it's cheap. But I decided to grab it because I started reading the book, fell in love with the book, and thus wanted to go back to the movie, and even more so to look at the making of the movie, because I knew there was quite an extensive amount of behind-the-scenes features on this, which is rare for a studio film. It is Ready Player One. So I've since seen this now twice, once in the cinema and once at home. I really like it. I think it's a really, really good film. In fact, I love it as far as enjoyment goes. I think there's still some elements about it which don't fully come together. I think the other two members of the group, the Asian boys at the end, they just don't feel fully developed to me. They're kind of just thrown in at the end, I feel like. And in a way, in the book, they're kind of... Well, no, in the book, they have a much bigger and deeper resonance with the story, actually. And I'd love to make a video about the book compared to the film and so on. But Ready Player One, nice slipcover, nice little shiny, glossy effect and embossing on the title there. And there's about 90 minutes of behind-the-scenes stuff on there. So it's cool to kind of see the writer of the book and how it's really a dream come true for him to have Steven Spielberg making the movie for his book, which is all about, you know, stuff from the 80s and things. So anyway, I think the film is really, really good. Some incredible scenes. The Shining sequence is incredible. The race at the beginning is incredible. And I think, you know, overall, looking at the book compared to the film, I think they did a really good job adapting it and making it its own thing for the movie. And it's one I'll definitely go back to again and again. But I just really want to grab it for the special features and to just watch some of those scenes again after having read the book, which I really loved so much. So there we go, Ready Player One. Where do I put it? There's no space on the cabinet. Okay, there we go. And this one, I, again, wasn't sure I'd pick up because the previous film in this series, so to speak, I never bought for about a year after it came out. It was something I never felt urged or compelled to buy, but this one I did. Solo, A Star Wars Story. And of course, by series, I mean the Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I didn't buy that for a long time. But this I bought on release at the beginning of the month, I think it came out. And again, special features. I really wanted to see the behind-the-scenes stuff. I haven't finished watching them yet, actually. And I've since watched this again for a third time with my mum. I really love this film. I think it's a really good space sci-fi action-adventure film. Totally in line with the, you know, the movie serials that George Lucas grew up on and was inspired by to make Star Wars to begin with. It's you know, it's a different kind of Star Wars film, but it's the one Star Wars film that has the lowest amounts of stake. You know, there isn't this kind of galaxy kind of, the repercussions don't spread so far as in all the other movies. Even Rogue One is literally about the fate of the galaxy, whereas this one's just about this one guy and kind of his journey. And well, it's also about Lando and Chewie and even Kira, who's a really interesting character actually. I would love to see it explored in a couple of sequels or even one, but film didn't do very well. people hated The Last Jedi, so we're boycotting Solo. Okay, whatever. You know, when you see a grown man on YouTube calling Rian Johnson Ruin Johnson with a straight face, you know that there are some real sad acts out there who just really haven't got a clue what they're doing with their lives. Regardless, it's fine if you didn't like the movie, but I just think that some of the overboard vitriol and hate that somehow apparently made people not even want to give this film a chance is a shame, really. But even myself, I didn't want to give this film a chance. I just felt like, why do it? There's no reason for it. So I was really going in a full skeptic, even though I'm a big Star Wars fan, and it completely won me over. There's a few things that I don't like. I think how he is named Solo, I think is pretty awful. And that's like the title of the movie as well. I think it's a really awful way to do that. I don't think we needed to know that. I don't think it needed that backstory or reasoning for it either, but just way too on the nose for me. And there's something else along those lines I didn't like, but for the most part, it's a real thrilling film. The whole Kessel Run sequence is fantastic. So, Solo, A Star Wars Story. Another charity shop pickup. I already own this film, actually, and I just grabbed it in case, like, I don't know, maybe there's some different special features, and it turns out there is. And splitting this up with the Criterion version, which I already own, there's a lot of different special features, so I kind of have like a real complete version of this film now, and that is Brian De Palma, who I love. Brian De Palma's Blowout, the Arrow Video release. I've wanted to get this for a very long time. I've always been close to pulling the trigger, and then I got the Criterion on eBay a few years ago. So this one just disappeared out of my wish list, basically. Not a physical wish list, just the wish list in my head. And saw this in a charity shop for £2. I thought, I think it's still got the booklet. Yep. And there's I can't remember off the top of my head which special features are unique to this release, but there's quite a few. And so with the Criterion, I have kind of the ultimate Blowout release in my collection. So that's pretty cool. Haven't seen it yet. I know how good it is, or how good people say it is. People keep telling me you got to see Blowout. Trust me, I'm a Brian De Palma fan. I love the cast as well. Travolta, Nancy Allen. It's one of those ones I'm just waiting for the right moment to watch, because I know I'm going to really enjoy it. And then we have, we'll leave those two till last. We have a Criterion, which I got in conjunction with Ready Player One in a 2 for $25 deal. And this almost brings me up to date with the Wes Anderson collection. It is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. This is the first Wes Anderson film I saw in the cinema back in 2004. I love it. I love how weird it is. I love how quirky it is. Even for Wes Anderson at the time, it felt like he went full quirky, you know. And you could argue that, like with Grand Budapest Hotel, he went full Wes Anderson. But Life Aquatic is such a strange and unique and oddly emotional film. Like, I love how it pulls emotion in from the kind of the oddest depths of humanity. And it features one of my all-time favorite lines in the history of cinema, or line exchanges, which is when Jeff Goldblum's character says to the stooge, "This is my espresso machine. Why do you have my espresso machine?" And the company stooge says, "Well, we fucking stole it, man." Which is just about one of my favorite things ever. As you can expect with Criterion and Wes Anderson, a gorgeous release. Real shame, though, is that I remember when this came out, the Criterion were touting it on their Facebook or their social media, and there was a new interview, Willem Dafoe and Jeff Goldblum and maybe someone else, and they released some of it on YouTube, but it's not on the disc. I think it even says on the back, interviews with cast and crew, not sure. Okay, maybe it's not on the Blu-ray, but they definitely announced this with new interviews with Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe, etc., and Wes Anderson, and it ain't on the disc. Maybe I'm just having a Mandela effect about this, but I'm pretty sure that was the case, which is a real shame. I don't know why they filmed new stuff for it and didn't put it on the disc and only put it on YouTube, but it is what it is. So Life Aquatic, great film. We have 2 more to go, and we have a steelbook and a box set release. So let's go with which one should we go for? This one, this one, this one. We'll go with the box set. This is the most recent thing I bought, and just one I had to grab, basically. I'm really trying to cut back, as you can probably tell. My days of buying 40 Blu-rays from Poundland are now firmly over, but and that whole thing seems to have crashed, which is really interesting. Like, there's no Blu-rays in Poundland anymore, because we've all bloody bought them. We have the latest Eureka Jackie Chan release is Project A, and Project A Part 2. In fact, let's open this up a little bit and take a closer, unglary look at the Blu-ray. And it's a shame that the lighting is so bad, you can't really see the nice artwork very clearly, but there we go. So, there it is, in all its glory. I haven't seen Project A, but I have seen Project A Part 2. And I loved it. I've reviewed it for the Epic Film Challenge 2 with Connie last year. I think that Project A Part 2 is one of the craziest, nuttiest action films I've ever seen. Some of the stunts, the fights, the homage to Buster Keaton at the end, just incredible and really fun as well. And there's some really cool moments which aren't all about fighting, that still have a lot of this physical humor that Jackie Chan was so good at, that infuses into the story and is done in a really cool way. But this has the first film, which I haven't seen, so I'm really excited to get to that. And, you know, as always, they've stacked these releases with loads of special features. So there's Project A right there. And I've seen, like, some of the best bits of this, because in the beginning of Project A Part 2, they kind of show you, like, the greatest hits of the first movie. And then we have Project A Part 2. Like, so happy just to own this film in general. And I believe they both have booklets. Yes, they do. So that's nice. And, you know, I'm not going to do like a full in-depth unboxing or anything, but, oh man, that's some gorgeous artwork. Really, really cool. So, yeah, and again, boatloads of special features. Brand new 2K restoration on this one, 2K restoration on the other one. There's like a standard definition, different cut of Project A Part 2, alternate presentation of the film, a new interview with Tony Raines. There's all sorts of interviews with like stuntmen, choreographers. And on the first film, we have the same, another interview with Tony Raines, etc., etc., etc. Outtakes from the Japanese version of the film. They've really gone all out with this, which is great to see, and sits very nicely alongside the Police Story set, which I also have. I don't have the City Hunter release. I'm kind of a bit mixed on that one, but I mean, look at how great these two go together. Really, really nice, and sit nicely on the shelf together. Really, really cool. So great stuff by Eureka. And yeah, I mean, look, this is like, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the light is almost completely gone at this point. I hate it. The last thing is one of my favorite films of last year, and continues to add to another collection of mine, which is my Marvel Cinematic Universe steelbooks. We have Thor Ragnarok with added window glare. There, you can see outside, you can see the sky right there, and the clouds, and the... Anyway, so there's not really a good way to show. Let's open this one up as well and try and get you somewhat of a good look at it. I'm sure most of you have this already. I didn't get the Zavvi release or anything like that. What I do with these is I wait and I get them from Amazon in Europe, because they always have the exact same artwork as Zavvi, and they're cheaper, and they don't sell out instantly. So that's what I've done for years now. And we take the J card off and take a closer look at this. Really, really cool artwork there of Thor. Oh no, it still just shows you the window. So there you go. Look at that great artwork that you can't see at all. It's really hard to pick up with this awful lighting. And then we have the kind of a look at his helmet from the... well, we don't have a look at his helmet. We have a look at the window, for fuck's sake. Yeah, forget that. That ain't happening at all. And, oh man, that's awesome. So I'm assuming we have Hulk on the other side, but we have a shot of Thor jumping in to fight Hulk from the incredible Colosseum sequence. I love this film so much. It is my favorite Marvel film. You know, I just love it. Love everything about it. I can't wait to see the special features, particularly the audio commentary with Taika Waititi, the director. I'm really excited about that one. But it's just such a fantastic film. So funny, so full of light and humor, and even weight and gravitas at times. Like that whole sequence with Odin at the end. And what's the name? Cate Blanchett's character. Hela. And, you know, what were you the god of again? Amazing. Like, what a perfect use of Led Zeppelin that was. So I love this film. I'm so excited to have it on Blu-ray. It has the 3D disc, which I couldn't care less about, and would just throw it out the window if I really wanted to. But it's the film, the 2D version that I'm really excited to see again. And you know, it's one of those films that I've seen I think twice now, and it's just so enjoyable. I mean, this to me is like what Guardians seem to be for most people, like this kind of wacky space adventure with Thor and Loki and Hulk, and it's just this amazing amalgam of all these random things that just seems to work through the lens of this Kiwi director who infused his own humor and style, but also just amazing cinematography, fantastic kind of 80s inspired soundtrack score, the kind of synthesizer stuff, and great action, and brilliant. Just love it. So there we go. I'm slowly fading into nothingness right now, so I will leave it there. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.